Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn and we are taking on the final part of my identity series in which I am going to ask myself the question, am I bi? Okay, so first of all I do need to define very clearly what I mean by bisexual, because like many words, the word bisexual has undergone a bit of a shift in meaning, especially in recent times. So, Google defines, and oh my god, just for as a side note, when did Google defines become the new Webster's defines? Google defines bisexual as sexually attracted not exclusively to people of one particular gender, attracted to both men and women. It gives both of these meanings. But this isn't the whole picture. When I was doing research for this video, I came across, like time and time again, I came across the same quote by a bisexual activist, and I really like it, so I'm gonna put that on the screen now. I call myself bisexual because I acknowledge that I have in myself the potential to be attracted, romantically and or sexually, to people of more than one sex and or gender. Not necessarily at the same time, not necessarily in the same way, and not necessarily to the same degree. I think that explains it quite well. For further information, of course, there is a really good video by the YouTuber Luxander, link in description in case you haven't seen it for some reason. How are you here if you haven't already seen that? But in it they explain that there are nuanced definitions which are, still accurate of bisexual and pansexual, and a few other terms as well. And what I got from that video is that, first of all, bi is not necessarily transphobic or exclusionary of NB people, which I wouldn't have thought so anyway, but it's, good to know, right? Also, that some people use bi as basically just practically indistinct from pansexual. Some people define bi as attraction to members of their own gender and members of other genders as well, and that is the two-gender split there. And some people mean, attraction to two or more genders. The mainstream understanding of that, of course, is men and women, but it could be women and non-binary people or men and non-binary people. And by that definition alone, I could technically call myself bisexual because I have in the past found non-binary people attractive, Alexander being one of them. Certain non-binary people, but I'll get more into that later in the video with more detail. But I think because a lot of people still do consider bi to be just attracted to men and women, which is fine if a person is attracted to just men and women, and that is valid. But like Luxander said, communication is a two-way street, and it's helpful to use the working definition that most people are familiar with, and that's why I probably won't use the label bi to describe myself through not wanting to be misunderstood, and I'll explain a little bit more on that later too. Sort of, unfortunately, given up the lead. I was trying to bury it slightly, but just that's not happening. So, let's examine some of my forays in the past into experimenting with bisexuality because, well, there are a few other reasons why I might consider myself bi. So for as long as I can remember, I have had crushes on boys and related to girls, long before I'd even heard of the terms like gay or transgender or anything like that. Although it must be said that a lot of bullies threw other kinds of homophobic slurs my way, again, way before I knew their full meaning. I mean, people are cruel. People are dicks. Hello, I grew up in the 90s during the Section 28 era. Anyway, there was this point after I came out and I was about 15. A few schoolmates and myself, we were supposed to be studying for our GCSEs, and of course we weren't. Instead we were talking about sex, because what else are teenagers going to do, right? And it got to that sort of point where I kissed a few girls. I kissed a few girls, sort of friends of mine, and, you know, I wasn't excited by it the same way I would have been if they were boys. Because, you know, it wasn't like sexual or anything like that. It was just sort of more to prove a point that, yeah, it's like basically just like two girls kissing. Bit of a laugh, you know, bit of a dare, but two cis straight girls kissing is basically the same thing as me kissing a girl, because there's just nothing, sort of no chemistry there. So then college rolls around, and, well, everyone experiments in college, right? Now, I'm fully, you know, confirmed gay queerest of gays at this point. But there was this one night, and I do have to recall this, because it is, you know, it's one of those things that's both confirms and denies. So I was at this sort of dance nightclub, student night thing, and I was dancing with a girl. And I started to think that, you know, she's kind of pretty, she's kind of awesome, I like her. Maybe there's something here. Then she turns around and gets off with, like, some other guy. And killed that possibility. Well, what's even funnier is the next morning I wake up and I realise, well, no, I'm not bisexual. I was just drunk. That's not... And from that point on, I continued having relationships and, you know, sexual encounters just with men, just with guys, you know, and all of them cis. Oh, if only I had known. But anyway, I have been dating men for a very long time, but I do need to talk about something that happened more recently that made me question my sexuality again. Because it just happens. I don't know why, but certain things keep popping up to make you question that thing. And even if you get the same answer as you did before, it's always good to still question that and to say, hey, is this still true? Because some things like sexuality and gender, you know, can change over time. So anyway, I am a member of quite a few different social groups, board games, D&D, that sort of thing. And a while ago, an unspecified measure of time ago, because I need to keep details vague here, I started at a new group, and there I met a girl who was, you know, I found very attractive. And, you know, she was nice to me, kind of alternative sort of gothy style, really like, appreciated the thing, and we sort of talked about piercings and things. And we just sort of hit it off as pals, right? And as time passed, I started to develop a little bit of a crush on her. Now, this was not to sort of go further at all, because she was in a relationship with someone else at the group, in a monogamous way. That's sort of the biggest reason why that wouldn't sort of work out. And in fact, I did notice him first. Like, that wasn't the unusual part. And he's also very cute and very nice to me, and, you know, big bushy beard, I like that. But yeah, we sort of grew to like friends, you know, to the point where it got to like we could like have a bit of a flirty joke, right? Nothing actually was going to happen, but yes, I did, you know, do a flirty joke or two about threesomes. Like that's, you know. And I do sometimes wonder, like, what might have happened in alternative universe kind of situation. Of course, alternative universe me is a cis guy with a neat little mustache, but anyway. The weird thing about this, right, is, and I have told no one this, and this is why I'm keeping details very vague, is that she inspired some pretty unusual thoughts and feelings inside my head that I'd never had for like the attraction that I have for a man, right? And it was the kind of stuff that I'm ashamed to say you might find on some neckbeard white knight incel forum. I know, cringe, but it was the kind of thing of, oh, milady, allow me to get that for thee. You are looking so deliciously dapper today. And I, honestly, I don't know where these sort of thoughts came from. But this is, you know, girl crushes don't happen to me, at least not very often. I mean, there was one other time I can think of. There was a girl in a choir group that I was in back in school. And she was kind of nice, but I didn't really know her. And, you know, there was a boy in that choir group that I really sort of took more notice of anyway. But, like I said, girl crushes don't really happen to me. So this was kind of odd. I suppose a question to ask myself would be, can I imagine myself doing sex with a woman? And not really. I have had an experience with a woman, but it was me, a woman, and a man, and we were both giving this guy the attention. So wasn't really anything going on there. But of course, the final thing that I need to talk about is the fact that, well, there's no getting around this. My partner, the one who I talked about in the polyamory video, is trans. So they ID'd as sort of as a guy, as a gender non-conforming guy, when we first met, but has since come out as trans, almost certainly a girl, still going through the sort of discovery, exploration phase, and I've encouraged this, I've helped them with this, and they now use a female name, and you'll notice I'm using they pronouns as well. They're sort of pronoun indifferent at the moment, but just for that reason alone, I don't want to misgender them. And I had my reservations, I will admit. I had my reservations because I initially thought, oh my god, what if the attraction goes away? What if this person transitions and the attraction goes away because I'm not attracted to women, typically? Well, we're still dating and I'm still here. And I'm still into them. So that's, again, another odd little reason for me to maybe consider myself bi. At least a little bit bi. But despite all that, to carry on, I will still continue to use the labels gay and queer when I'm being a little bit vague about my sexuality, because those words encompass a lot. They do a lot of heavy lifting, but they are deliberately vague for a reason. It's just, you know. But for more technical accuracy, I will continue to use the label androsexual. That being sexual attraction to men, males, or masculinity in a person, almost regardless of gender, because for the most part it's true as the rule, not the exception. And you know, also just saying gay or queer is a lot easier and doesn't run the risk of giving sort of this false impression that so much as the word bi would do, because obviously I would have to say bi, but with a bunch of caveats, and that's lengthy and messy. Also, really importantly, I do need to point out that my attraction to trans men is excluded from any possibility of me claiming the label bisexual, because trans men are still men, and I feel attracted to them the same way that I feel attracted to cis men. And that fits within the sort of technical definition of androsexuality. So another question to raise is, are my partners kind of bisexual or gay or whatever? And well, yeah, they're definitely not straight, because I'm non-binary, and that's... It's kind of impossible to define heterosexuality with non-binary, but at the same time, you'd really have to ask them how they define, you know, all the people that I've been with in the past. Not that you can find most of them, but it's really not down to me how other people define themselves. Okay, so for this video, I have decided not to do a Q&A, because how can I answer a bisexual Q&A if I don't fully, or like if I don't feel comfortable with the label bisexual for myself? It doesn't seem to fit as well as the other labels that I have been talking about before. And also, I'm not going to do one of those am I bi quizzes, because I am not a bi-curious 14-year-old. So instead, this video is going to end just a little sort of shorter than the other ones. Thank you so much for watching the series on identity. Please let me know what you think. You know, if you have any thoughts about any of the topics that I've talked about, bisexuality or bi-curious questioning, polyamory and non-monogamous relationships, kink, you know, non-vanilla kind of interests, and the first one, of course, was, you know, gender fluidity. I've got some stories from these videos that didn't quite make the cut just because they didn't really fit anywhere else. So what I'm going to do is I am going to release those as just a video of stories. And yeah, look out for that in a few days' time. I don't know if they're funny. I think they're funny. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the others, please go watch those. And all I have to do left is sign off now. So, non-binary and bisexuals are valid. God damn it. Bye. Oh shit. The first one was polyamory. That's kink. There was... Oh yeah, gender flip. And I could technically call myself non-binary. All that being said, of course, I am a fan of the finger guns.